Until 2 years ago, these were the clinics providing abortion services in the state of Pennsylvania. And then the Republican-controlled legislature and the Republican governor there passed laws aimed at shutting down clinics across the state. And since then, these clinics have all been taken off the map. Roughly a third of the clinics in the state have shut down. And yes, if you are still near a densely populated urban area in Pennsylvania and you're a woman who wants to get an abortion in that state, you may still be within driving distance of a clinic that can provide that service. But if you're not, well, Pennsylvania is a big state, and there's a lot of part of the states where the service may technically still be legal, but the state government has made sure that it is inaccessible. A third of the clinics in the state closing in the last 2 years. And this is not a unique to Pennsylvania phenomenon. This is happening all over the country. Anywhere, frankly, that Republican legislatures and governors have made shutting down clinics a priority, which in fact is all over the country. In Pennsylvania specifically, the shutdown of a third of the state's clinics just since Tom Corbett has been governor has just had one very specific and potentially really important legal consequence. I'm not sure you'll see this story anywhere else today, but I think it may end up being a landmark moment. Before the Supreme Court ruled in Roe v. Wade that states couldn't ban abortion, that a woman's right to have an abortion is a federally protected thing. Before Roe, in states where abortion was illegal, it's not like women did not get abortions. They just got them illegally. Women made do. They found a way, because all sorts of women in all sorts of circumstances for all sorts of different reasons sometimes do not want to go through with a pregnancy. And in those cases, women are not easily deterred. And women have always found ways to end pregnancies, or at least try to, even when that medical service of abortion has not been legally available to them. If you don't believe me, find an American woman who is 65 years old or older and ask her. She would have been 25 years old if she was 65 now when Roe passed. Ask if she knows anybody who ended a pregnancy before then. Ask how it happened. But as the Republican Party has been more successful over these last few years than at any time since Roe at shutting down clinics across the country, anywhere they have the ability to do it, people who support abortion rights and medical professionals have been getting increasingly worried that we might be going back to an era where American women self-induce abortions or otherwise find ways to do it illegally because they can't access that medical procedure legally. And that is the issue in a new case out of Pennsylvania. 2 years ago, the mother of a pregnant 16-year-old girl living in the smallest county in the state of Pennsylvania, without an abortion provider in their area or anywhere nearby, she helped her daughter terminate the daughter's pregnancy. The mom worked as a nurse's aide. She found an overseas drugstore on the internet. She ordered a package of medicine to induce the abortion. There were some complications that sent the young woman to the hospital. They were trying to do it on their own. Well, this month, her mother was charged with a felony for performing an illegal abortion. It's a, quote, felony count of medical consultation and judgment, dispensing medicine without a license, endangering the welfare of a child, and simple assault. The mother says she purchased the drugs after not being able to find a clinic in her area that would perform a legal abortion. The mom is 38 years old. She's now facing up to 15 years in prison. Joining us now to help understand the impact of this case is a former producer for the show, a longtime reporter on issues of reproductive rights, Rebecca Dryden. It's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So these pills that the woman who's been charged in this case that she bought online, they're legal. They're FDA approved. They're generally quite safe. But she's facing charges for essentially getting the drugs without a doctor's approval. What exactly is the crime here?
Right, exactly. Well, she's, as you said, she's charged with a few different crimes, and some of them are misdemeanors and involve her daughter. And part of that is because she did have to go to the emergency room and had to be treated. Otherwise, no one would probably even know about this, and there would be no charges. But the felony, the big one there, is a Pennsylvania statute that basically says only doctors can perform abortions.
And so as we look at the pre-Roe era to understand what women do to get abortions when they can't access them illegally, we talk about those as the back alley days, and we talk about surgical abortions, both self-induced, done by non-medical professionals and done in bad circumstances. Since then, the technological change is that there are medications that people can use to induce abortions. But the issue is whether or not it's going to bring people into contact with the medical system, because there can be complications.
Exactly. And, you know, the interesting thing here is that when we got medication abortions, when pill abortions were approved, which was in 2000, the idea among abortion providers was that this would be a great way to open up access, because it's so much easier to do. You could theoretically even use telemedicine. You could just, you know, if you're in a rural place, you could be on the phone or on a video conference with a doctor who's explaining how to take it and administering it, and you wouldn't actually have to go to the clinic, which is a a huge barrier to lots of women. And actually, as you've seen, and that mostly has become true, that many women have been taking advantage of access to pill abortions. It's gone from, in 2001, it was about 6% of abortions. In 2011, which is the latest year we have data for, it was almost a quarter of all abortions were medication abortions. But as you've seen women using them more, you've also seen the anti-abortion movement sort of notice that and attack specifically medication abortions. So right now you're seeing in the states a big move to restrict specifically medication abortions and make it harder to access them as well.
It is not just an act of furtherance, though, but sort of a leap to go from trying to make it hard to access abortion pills and actually prosecuting a woman and threatening to put her in jail for 15 years for accessing those pills for her daughter. Is there any way to know if this is an outlier, or is it expected that this is going to be something that we see more of?
Well, this has happened before. This isn't the first time. There was, but it doesn't tend to go well. In fact, even in the anti-abortion movement, you will be hard-pressed to find anyone saying, yes, let's go after women and prosecute them for performing their own illegal abortions or for accessing these drugs. And that was the case there was a 2010 case in Idaho in which a woman got illegal, obtained abortion drugs from the internet, did her own abortion and was charged under a similar kind of law that said you have to be a doctor to perform an abortion in that state. And those charges were eventually dismissed. And in fact, she countersued the state. And so I would not expect that this will go well for anyone who continues to pursue these sorts of actions. But you may well continue to see it, because certainly you're going to continue to see more and more women access these drugs without medical care who can't access them otherwise.
What ends up being remarkable here is the Pennsylvania decision to charge, and they spent 2 years trying to come up with a charge to levy against this woman. It's an amazing story. Rebecca Dryden, senior producer for All In with Chris Hayes. I miss you every day. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.